So for the last Tech Talk, we had our very own John Garden, and I think he's somewhere here in the meeting. So welcome, John. And he spoke about how to land a job as a software developer. And if you guys missed that one, just head over to our Chips YouTube channel, like and subscribe. You guys might learn something. So before we get the show on the road, we will have devotion by our chaplain, Gregory Beans. Gregory.
Afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out to our second Tech Talk. I hope that you're all doing well and that you are all taking the appropriate measures to stay safe during this pandemic. I'd like you all to bow your heads as I pray. Our most righteous and eternal Father, we come before you today to say thank you. Thank you for giving us this chance to meet up once again for our second Tech Talk today, Lord. Lord, I pray that you be with the speaker. I pray that whatever she says, that it will be whatever you need it to be, oh Lord. Lord, I pray for those who are going through any existential crisis, any financial problems, personal problems. I pray that you be with them, guide them, protect them. In your Son's most holy and most precious name, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vince, for devotion. So if you guys are new here, what Tech Talk really is where we invite our past students from the CIS department, from our Chips Club, to come in and share something interesting, share something that in your field, etc. And I hope everyone that is here that you may sit back, relax, and listen, make notes as well, because you don't know what you might get from this session. So to get things started, I will ask Clifton Price, our parliamentarian for the Chips Club, to introduce our speaker for today.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. West. Now today, our presenter is a database administrator at one of the most respectable banking groups in the Western Hemisphere. In fact, I do a little business with this banking group. They're actually my stockbroker. This group is no other than Sagicor Group. Oftentimes they say women are a problem. However, our presenter is a generator of solutions to all the problems that one can think of. She is a solutions architect, social media marketer, and when we thought it couldn't get any better, she's also a gamer. My, well-rounded. During her tenure as a student at the Northern Caribbean University, she saw the need for proper representation in the capacity of VP of Social Affairs for the CHIPS body. So she offered herself, and the people, the students of the CIS department said yes. She did such a great job that, as they say, one good term deserves another. And being the selfless person she is, she offered herself as president. And the students of CHIPS did not hesitate to say yes. She always believes in self-empowerment. And as a result, she's currently a first-year master's student at the University of the West Indies in the program Computer-Based Management Information Systems. It's her belief that we should all aspire for greatness, as it is not attained without aspiration. Good heavens. I tell you, I need to take a drink, because that was not only a mouthful, but also some powerful words by a powerful speaker. Give me a second. Mrs. Chen-McIntyre serves the Jamaica Esport Initiative, not as a participant, or as a spectator, but as a moderator. It's her goal to help in inspiring females into getting into gaming, as it's not just a leisure activity, but also a multi-billion-dollar industry to be capitalized on. So I say to you, if you were about to go outside to take the clothes off the line before the rain starts fall, I say let the clothes wet up. If you're about to go outside to turn the antenna so that you can watch the US elections, I say shut the TV off, because you cannot afford to miss this power-packed interactive session by no other Miss Shanique Chen-McIntyre. Please help me welcome her.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Oh my goodness, I don't think I can live up to that introduction. It was phenomenal. I need to hire you. How much do you go by? I need to bring you everywhere that I'm going. As a matter of fact, I need to call somebody who can offer you a job in sales, in everything, and see you as the next Prime Minister, honestly. Thank you so much, Mr. Price. Thank you for that lovely introduction. As he said, I am Shanique Fagan, and I'm reading the comments as we go along. This presentation, I want it to be as interactive as possible, because at the end, I want to gift somebody a Udemy course in solutions, in AWS solutions architecture, because I think it's a field that if you start young enough, you can do great things in solutions architecture. And so Adrian will be moderating, because I want you guys to participate, and I want you guys to answer the questions that I'll be throwing out there, and just be interactive in this session, and hope it's a good one. All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Hopefully I am able to do so. Hold on. Okay. A window. Let me know if you guys are able to see my screen.
Yes, we're seeing your screen now.
Okay, awesome. All right. And as the topic says, I'll be presenting on database administration and esports in Jamaica. All right. Who is a DBA and what do we do? Anybody has any idea? Pretty simple. Throw it in the chat. Give me your thoughts on what you think a DBA is. Adrian will be going through, assisting me. Not seen anything yet. No clue. Okay. Data makes sense. DBA superhero. Okay. Okay, I like it. All right. For the most part, us as database administrators, we ensure that your database architecture is up to point. It is something that is accessible at all times. We have to ensure that we have backups for it, and we also have to ensure that it's optimized and tuned so that everyone who needs access to it has access and it's able to deliver what we would have promised in an SLA to our business. Now, let's go in a bit closer into ensuring availability. Now, availability of databases, I want a few persons to throw in the chat what they think availability means in regards to databases. Throw it in the chat. We'll be going through. Remember, we want somebody, who is paying attention, who is being interactive in this session to get this gift cert of the Udemy course. When you want to see data, you can get it, of course, nation. Right, data is available, presented, and back to them. Correct. Now, Availability, and I'm going to go to the most basic part of it. We have to configure these databases. And when I say configure them, I mean we have to install them. We have to ensure that we're using the correct versions. We have to ensure that, hey, we're provisioning for the right amount of resources, the RAM, the CPU. And I will tell you this, I work with a lot of Microsoft SQL servers, and I will tell you this, they consume any memory that you throw at them, and they will find use for it. If you have a server that has 32 gigs and you just say, hey, I'm not going to limit SQL, I'm just going to let it stay and let it use what it wants, it will use everything and it will deplete your OS. As such, that's a problem because it will then become unavailable. So part of what we do is we have to ensure that, the server, the database server, there are limits to it. We give it what it needs to be able to operate in the way that will satisfy the business. Now with availability, we have to ensure scaling. And I mentioned scaling by, if there are bottlenecks, we have to figure that out. We have to use tools that can help us in finding, what's happening to the server. If there's a expensive queries, I'm not a report analyst, hence I don't necessarily have to be writing reports or writing SQL statements and such. I do write statements, but it's not my job requirement. Now, I have to ensure that if an expensive query is being written by a report analyst, I can say, hey, this is why the server is moving slow, or the application, because we do know that any application depends on a database, whether it be a relational database or a non-relational database. And that's all a part of availability, right? Let's go over to backup and recovery. Now, backup and recovery, I think that's pretty straightforward. Always present to send, but yes, the database is always accessible to relevant persons. Correct, and I didn't even touch on that. Security is a big part of availability, because us as database administrators, we are the custodians of all admins on a database. If somebody needs to have access, if an application needs to have access, we are the ones that does that for them, right? Nobody can create something on our databases without us saying, hey, you now have the permission to do so. And as such, we go by, we harden all our, we harden everything, and you only get access that is needed. While I was at NCU, I'm going to touch back on recovery, give me a second. While I was at NCU, my now husband said to me, he said to me, fundamentals of databases is going to be one of the most important courses that you will ever do. And I was taught by Miss Howell. She's no longer there, but it was for that course, I don't know how it is now, but it was a very theory-based course. There was a part of it, the final project is where we actually got to use MySQL. So in my first job, MySQL was the only thing that I knew, and I was thrown out, to learn MS SQL, which is what I would say that I'm more proficient in right now. All right. Let's go over now to backup and recovery. Backups, I want you guys to throw in there recovery and backups, what you think, how you think that is done. It's pretty straightforward, but we have to ensure that if there's a disaster, if something happens on premise, we as database administrators, it's our job to ensure that we can, ensure availability. And by ensuring availability, we have to have our backups ready to restore in case of, say the developer made a mistake, made a boo-boo. This tends to happen a lot. They made a boo-boo and they need something to be fixed as soon as possible. We help them out. We have to ensure that our production environment is in sync with our DR. And DR meaning our disaster recovery site, which is, as you know, it would be separate and apart from our on-premise center. It's a different place. All right. In doing so, we have to, there are several mechanisms that we can use in ensuring that the databases are in sync with our DR site. Because if it's not in sync and something happens, I'm not sure if you guys would have noticed some other banks having issues. Maybe they are the safest banks in Jamaica, as they say, but they have issues a lot. One of the things is that yes, because we are Sagicor strong, and over at Sagicor we don't have those issues. So we have to ensure that, you know, the mechanisms that we're using to ensure that there's replication being done on different areas, which means if there's an issue, we have to be able to fail over. So if we're going to be having an upgrade, and we do this all the time at Sagicor, we have upgrades, and you guys never know because the system comes back up. You know, there's never an outage like that. We don't have those issues at Sagicor. Right, so we have to ensure that, you know, the logs over on the DR site matches up with the logs on our primary site. This is very important. There are sometimes, you know, in the different environments. So in corporate, I think even in my previous job, it's the same thing. You have a dev environment, you have a UAT environment. You tend to have sometimes a pre-production environment and then a production environment. A database administrator is at each step because we would get the requirements. We will get the requirements from the developers or the project managers to say, hey, this is what we want, and then we will provision for it. Now, a part of that means that with moving from UAT to production, sometimes we have to, it depends. And this doesn't happen in UAT, I would say pre-production. There are times when the pre-production is normally the same data as the production. And we have to move that. The migration comes in play now because we have to migrate now from pre-production into production and ensuring that we have the lowest downtime as possible. Because remember, we promised availability. And normally you would see us send out an email to your accounts and to your to you, letting you know that, okay, then hey, we'll be having maintenance at this time, and as such you'll be down for an hour or so. But we have to ensure that there's all the availability is there. Now let's go over to tuning and optimizing a database. If you guys are, no, I don't know if what year you guys are at right now, or the persons who are students in this presentation. I don't know which year you are, but it's important to have an understanding. If you're a developer, it's important to have an understanding of the resources that your code will use. It's very important. Now, as a database administrator, one of the things, okay, as a third year, I think you probably have an idea of what you want to do, or an area in IT, because IT is so broad. It's so broad. You probably have an idea of where you want to be in it. When I was in up until my final year, I think I did my late applying as a network administrator, and I've never been a network administrator to this date. I was a release engineer at JN, and now I'm a database administrator. So it might change depending on your first job, right? But it's good to have everything in your pocket, have an idea about a few things. If you're a programmer, then you need to know different languages. If you're doing system administration, then you have to have an idea about the different things that comes with it, or how you can split up system administrator, because a system administrator does so many things that they have them split into different areas. You have patch management, you have help desk, you have workstation, you have several of these positions that you can apply for. Database administration is one of them as well, because it doesn't come under computer science. This will come under computer information systems. Optimizing and tuning our databases. Now, there are indexes, and I'm sure most of you guys from second year, you should know indexes, and because you would have done fundamentals of databases. And indexes, I will just give a brief synopsis. Indexes help you to get data as data that you always go to as quick as possible. So it's like a pointer that points to the specific data that you would want, right? Now, as database, going into Digimon mode, right? As a database administrator, you know, you have to ensure that these indexes are optimized at all times, or else your application would move slow. Because a lot of the time, when an application is slow, it has to do with the database. And if proper maintenance is not being done on it, then you're going to have a problem. It will not work. And as such, you won't be able to, you know, ensure availability, which is our #1 priority as database administrators. And I would think as IT professionals on a whole. Now, we have to rebuild and reorg our indexes. Now, rebuild is something that we can do hot. And hot meaning while it's online. It shouldn't cause much interruption when we're rebuilding indexes. And you know, it's something that we can do in the night. I wouldn't personally do it during the day. You know, I would do that in the night because you would have less traffic at that time. Because it might cause a little, it might be slow, you know, but it won't prevent you from accessing your data. Now, rebuilding indexes, this is something that, you know, we have to schedule. We tend to do this on weekends sometimes or end of a period. Because this will prevent you from having access to your data. And again, because we're ensuring availability, we have to let our clients know that, hey, we're going to be doing this now. And as such, you can expect some interruptions in retrieving your data. Now, database tuning, hold on, give me a second. Sorry. Right. Database tuning, there are several ways you can do it as well. It's also about applying the correct patches. Now, patches are something that we would get from, you know, whomever the database resides on. So, for example, whichever database types. For example, you have Oracle, you have MS SQL. I tend to work a lot with MS SQL. And so if Microsoft says, hey, there's a patch coming out, you know, it's supposed to fix this, it's our responsibility to test these patches that come out and ensure that it can work with our applications, because, you know, there are some applications that are built on a specific version, and moving the version up can completely break your application, which again would prevent us from, you know, ensuring availability. And you will hear me say ensuring availability a lot, because that's our primary job. Our primary job is to ensure that you have access to your data at any time. You know, it is fast enough, you know, you're able to access your data and the right person has access to the data. Now, some may say you don't need to script, you don't need to do any form of coding when you're a database administrator, but I don't think that is, that's not right. You know, I don't think in this day and age where we're not supposed to be using the easiest or fastest method, our most efficient method in doing our jobs. Remember, you know, the less, if you can find the easiest way to do something, I guess because I'm a lazy person sometimes, I will find the easiest way to get something done. As such, I use PowerShell. I'm going to pause a little because I want, if you guys have any questions, please throw it in the chat because I'm watching it. Adrian and I, go ahead.
We have a Q&A section after your presentation, but if you still want them to ask the questions now, no problem.
They can throw it in, and then afterwards, what we will do, because I don't want anybody to lose their points. So okay, what I want is for them to throw it in, and then afterwards we can go back at them and read them.
Okay, no problem.
Next on. All right, we're at PowerShell. Now, PowerShell, I think at this point in school, you should Gregory. You should learn it. It's something that somebody told me about while I was at NCU, but I didn't pay much attention. And in Jamaica, I would say that Jamaica, for the most part, is a Microsoft shop, and PowerShell is Microsoft based. If you look on your machine right now, you will see that there's PowerShell there. It's basically a super powered or a super command line per se. I would say that go ahead and play with it, learn how to use it, because if you're going to go into system administration or anything administering anything on Windows, you want to have PowerShell because it's easy. And even if you're going to go to Azure, because hey, we're all going to the cloud now, and I know some of you are going to be future solutions architect, whether it be on Azure or on AWS or even both. You want to have an idea of PowerShell. And right, well, Linux is live for true. However, PowerShell on Windows, because we're talking about Windows, it does use some of the Linux commands as well. It really does. It uses some of the Linux commands, which if you're familiar with Linux, you can use similar commands in PowerShell as well. But PowerShell goes beyond that because it has its own scripting language. You can develop quite a few things on it. I used to use it to check if one of my sites is up. When I was a release engineer, I used to check for sites being up. I used to check for services being up or down. I used to use it for almost everything. I can use it to populate an entire database. But I love PowerShell, and I encourage you guys to check it out, look into it. It's something that you will not regret learning. And you can even use it, to do even your personal things as well, because I know you guys have personal projects, or I hope you do, and you can use it in helping you getting those done. Now with PowerShell, how do I use it to get how do I use PowerShell to get work done for myself? Now, I only use PowerShell with MS SQL databases. And I use it in migration, which means if I'm going to be migrating from UAT to production or from dev to UAT, then I use PowerShell. It's a simple script. Sometimes it's a one line, like literally one line, outside of me going to the application management studio, doing a bunch of clicks. And I mean, it gets tedious, it gets long, and I mean, who does that in 2020? Nobody. I don't think anybody does that. And so I use PowerShell. It helps me with security and encryption as well, because I'm able to create, I'm able to lock out, I'm able to kick people. I can do anything using PowerShell for my databases. I must mention though, the module that I use is DBA tools, and you will see there, if you Google it, DBA tools, and you look at the commands, it's readily available. It's nothing you have to pay for. It's free. It's something that is just out there you can use. I use it for resource management as well, because this is very important. One of the things, or one of the problems we tend to have, as database administrators, is that our logs will get huge. If you guys don't have an idea of what is log, what do I mean by logs, you can throw it in the chat and I answer direct question. But in databases, you have the MDF and you have the LDF. These are extensions. MDF meaning the data, and LDF meaning the logs, which are transactional logs. These are things that record everything that is taking place on a database at any time. These are things that we can use in restoring a database as well. All right. Scripting, I automate quite a few things, which means if I have say 10 database servers, right? Those 10 database servers could mean 100, or it could mean quite a few databases, because one database server can host several databases, because it depends on the resources that is available to the server itself. right? Now, I use PowerShell to automate deployments. So if I'm deploying something to, say a user that will be used in several applications, but it needs to have access to a lot of databases, what I do is I will use probably 3 lines of code to do that for me. It would read from a file that has, like a CSV that has all of the databases that I needed to have access to and the servers, and just run it, and it gets what I need done. And what I'm trying to emphasize here is that if you like coding, if you like scripting any at all, but you don't want to be a developer, you don't want to be the person sitting all day or all night, writing, I don't know, what does John use these days? Flutter, or if you don't want to be, writing all of these Kotlin or iOS Swift or any of those things, you don't want to be doing that, coding or scripting exists in administration as well. I don't like coding, it's not something I want to do for a living, but I enjoy scripting. And so, I use PowerShell as one of the tools to help me in getting things done. User management as well, so I can copy one user from one database to another without issues. There are times when issues come up. For example, the SID, which is a SID, is a special number. I'm sure some of you guys know about this. Not being, it doesn't sync, and as such, using PowerShell is so much easier to copy these users over from one database to another. Now, I didn't mention earlier that about the different database types, and as such, I'm coming to it now. So different database types that I work with currently. I work with MS SQL, I work with Oracle, I work with DB2, I work with MySQL and Postgres currently. I've worked with MongoDB in the past, I've worked with Redis in the past, and these ones that I have here are relational databases. The non-relational databases would have been like MongoDB or Redis that I've worked with, but I will tell you, I'm not the best at them right now because I don't get to work with them as often. And there's also the AWS DynamoDB as well. One of the things as a database administrator, you can throw your questions. I don't see any more questions going in, but you
guys, your questions now.
Feel free to go in. Okay. Oracle is a completely different infrastructure than MySQL, and I wouldn't say completely from DB2, but it's also different from DB2, and it's different from MySQL and Postgres. Now, Oracle being one of the better ones out there now, my boss would say that he prefers Oracle over all other databases out there. Okay, he's saving, right. So Oracle, there are times when you want to have reports from Oracle or from your DB2 over in MySQL. As such, it is our job as a database administrator to research and find a driver that works. So there needs to be a driver, a middleman that can take the data from Oracle database and make it presentable over on a MS SQL database. These are called linked servers. And so we create quite a few linked servers. It could even be a linked server from a MySQL, a MS SQL database as well. But linked servers are servers that help us for applications that uses several different databases. So you have applications, some core systems uses multiple different databases. And so if we want to get data, the data that are relational between all of them, then we use linked servers, right? Linked servers help us out a lot. I must say thank you to everybody who would have created or made that possible. Before I go over to esports, I want us to go through and answer all the database related questions. No. And you can still put them in. Adrian, you can help me out in asking some of the questions and so that I can go ahead and answer them.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'm still through the chats. Well, they're not database questions really. Someone asking how to learn a job at Sagicor and so forth.
Well, you need to be the best. Sagicor prides themselves in hiring the best. But they have several jobs out there now, and they have a really good internship program. I encourage you guys at undergrad now to apply for them. There are several persons who are working at Sagicor now who were interns, and then they ended up filling out an entire department, a new department filled with interns. So internship does help in landing a job at just about any organization.
Okay.
How do you?
Oh, Clifton Press asks, what's the hardest thing about your work?
The hardest thing about my work right now, I would say, is unlearning to learn. So I'm most familiar with Windows and with MS SQL, and now I have to be administering Oracle, which is on Linux, right? So being on Linux, I have to know how Linux works, right? And so I have to be learning Linux over. I did Linux in college, but I never had to use it really. I even have some tutorials on YouTube on Linux for test out, but I never really had to use it. And you know, anything you don't use, you lose, right? So I kind of just lost all of that. So now I'm learning. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is to not compare them because they're so different. MS SQL and Oracle and DB2, they're so different that I have to try not to say, oh, this is how it's done over on MS SQL. Why isn't it being done like that over on Oracle? So I think that is the hardest part of my job right now, unlearning to learn, really.
Okay,
I saw a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I saw a question about how do you test the patches. Now we have UAT environments, and for just about any application that is in production, there has to be a UAT environment before it can go to production. And as such, when we have a patch, we apply to UAT. Of course, we do our backups first because any changes that you're doing, it's always important to have a backup first. Very important, extreme. I've messed up a lot in my days of working with databases. I've deleted production databases before, but people won't know that. I guess they know now because I just said it. But I've made boo-boos, and the backups are what saved me and saved my jobs for the amount of time that I've done it.
Speaking of backups, there's a question from Ocean Smith. He asks, is there a time you made a mistake, right? How did you resolve it? How could you have prevented that from happening?
Okay, so when working with multiple databases, right? Best practices are you open a different management, and I'm speaking specifically to management student now because that is what I use the most. Now, best practice would be you have a production window and a UAT window. I've not been doing that as such. I would have that one window that has multiple servers connected to it, production and UAT, and there are times when you make a mistake because you think you're working in UAT and you're actually working in production. But one of my, I would say, OCD is that anytime I'm making any form of changes, I do a backup. But sometimes that's not possible because it's a large database, and we work with databases that are terabytes in size, right? And you can imagine how big that is. Even to back up, that will take hours to back up, and it will also take hours to restore, and that will not, allow for availability. No, I don't make those mistakes with those databases because I'm extra careful when working with core banking systems or core databases. As such, I will ensure that if I'm for those databases, I don't make changes unless my boss says, hey, do this. And when I'm doing that, that's the only thing I'll be doing within that period of time. But for the smaller ones, sometimes I will make mistakes. But having my backups that help, and you can do it without anybody knowing if you're skilled enough. You can do it without anybody finding out. But sometimes, I would say the best thing you can do is just check what you're doing at all times. Check the environment, it's right there. I don't know how I've missed it so many times. I don't think I'm going to make that mistake ever again, hopefully. Fingers crossed, everybody. Yeah, it's really just to check the environment that you're in to ensure that, and work with IPs. I prefer IPs over names. And so I will always check the IPs to ensure that I'm on the right server.
Okay. There are more questions, but you could move into the presentation, and then we can continue the questions in our Q&A section.
Okay, then no problem.
Yes.
Let's jump over to esports, and I want you guys to throw out there what are the what you understand from esports. What do you think that is? And while you write that, I saw a question from Nation. How does the team at Sagicor integrate DBA in projects as software development planning? In other words, where do you come in and what are your inputs in the project? Now, that's a very important question because we get into the project as soon as they've designed a database. So as soon as they have an idea of what their database will look like, they get us in. And there are times when we suggest which platform it goes on. So sometimes the developer will say, oh, I want it on MS SQL, but we'll say, oh no, I think DB2 would be the better option for this type of database. Sometimes they will say, oh, I want it on DB2, but we would say, hey, Oracle would probably be best suited for this based on what is required of this application. So we come in just at, I would say, the planning stage of software development. We're actually in it from that stage of the cycle. Some people threw some questions in. A bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Playing video games, so you are not a part of the design. We are a part of the design. Yeah, capitalized on Gregory. By the way, guys, you see Gregory Moore in the chat right now. He is the chairman of the Jamaica Esports Initiative, and I'm sure you guys have seen it out there. I'm going to pause and I'm going to tell you what esports is. Esports is Gregory Binns and Gregory Moore. And I'm talking more, not Binns. Esports, guys, it's a sport. It's actually, video games. It's not just physical sports that are considered sports. And I'm happy to say that in Jamaica now, with the hard work of Gregory and Andrew and all the other members of the Gregory Moore and all the other members of the JEI team, we are now recognized as a sport. We are officially a sport. Esports is officially considered a sport in Jamaica, which means that we will get funding, we can compete. Although we have been competing abroad, but the gist of it is esports is competitive video games. It's not about casually playing it, it's about competitive video gaming. Now we're on Jamaica Esports Initiative. I will be dropping our Discord, our Twitch, our Instagram, and our YouTube in the Chips Discord. But you guys can search for us. It's the same name, Jamaica Esports Initiative. You will find us if you Google us right now. You will land on our website. and you can just go ahead and follow us. And we do have the largest Discord in Jamaica. Very active, big community. We have people who play several different games. So I encourage you guys, if you like gaming any at all, jump into it. There are cool people there. You'll get to learn a lot. What do we do? I did go into that a little bit. But currently, JI, is Jamaica recognized. I just said it. We are also a part of the Global Esports Federation, which this means we can actually compete in competitions that are out there. I'm not sure if you guys know about LCS for League of Legends or any of those video games that have huge tournaments. It means that we are now able to form a team, be a part of a region, and rise World of Warcraft. Once we have players, we will invest in them, in ensuring that they are properly trained and getting the proper equipment to actually compete. We have competed in Vegas before. We have one of the Dr. Birds in the chat right now. Andrew Pang, he has represented us in Vegas already. We have Bugs who have represented us in South Korea and also in Vegas as well. So we have been doing a lot in the JEI. And I say we, but it's really the chairman and the VPs. They've been doing a lot, but I will take some of the credit because I will just say you guys are awesome, and I feel like me saying that they're awesome makes them feel awesome enough to do things. Right, we are now a part of the Jamaica Football Federation, which means that coming soon we will be having FIFA competitions. We need a team, and soon you guys will be hearing about that. What we do as the JEI, we are the regulatory body of esports in Jamaica, and regulatory body meaning that we are not necessarily the ones who put on tournaments per se, but we will sponsor tournaments. And you guys must have probably heard of Esports Jamaica. They have been putting on quite a few tournaments over the past few years. They have done a lot. They've contributed a lot to the community. Just the other day, they had a competition. My team was, we didn't enter the competition, but we issued a challenge, and my team lost terribly. Guys, you can go over to their Twitch and watch it. I was so embarrassed. Like, I wanted to cry because we issued a challenge and we couldn't step up to the plate. Ridiculous. We are now signed to the CEFA, which is the Caribbean and Latin America Federation. What we're trying to do is that we're trying to bring esports or make esports a prominent thing in the Caribbean with Jamaica steering it. So Gregory Moore in the chat right now, he is the brains. We call him the brains all the time. He is steering, he's doing a lot of negotiating. He's got a lot of deals from a lot of places. We've gotten sponsors. They're just doing a lot, and I must say that I'm proud of the JEI and what they've been able to accomplish. This picture that you're seeing now is Jay Bugs. He's the one that has represented us in Korea. He did such an amazing job, you guys. You can go over to the JEI YouTube channel and watch. I'm also representing in my shirt because I wanted you guys to have an idea. We have merches as well, and it's not just for persons who play competitively. Even though I say esports is for competitive players, but the JEI community is not just for competitive gaming. We're building a community. We want people who play casually as well. We have streamers. We have thank you Dexton for dropping that in the channel, in the chat. You guys feel free to go ahead and check it out. We are building a community of gamers. We want people to understand that it's not only about gaming too. We have TOs, which are tournament organizers. We have referees. There are different jobs that you can have. We have commentators. Esports again is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's so many things you can get out of it. There's so many things you can do. within esports, and how currently I really want to start a chapter at NCU under CHIPS. I know CHIPS has the programming club under them, started by John. And I want esports to become one of the other chapters that we start under CHIPS. And how do you guys become a member of JEI? Well, first you have to establish a body. I guess within CHIPS, just like the programming club, I would suggest you start to use the same approach. I see it being, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to have, I think he might, with a little persuasion. You guys don't have Henry anymore, which is very sad. Maybe Mr. Smith can, I believe Mr. Mitchell will understand, and he will see what can come from esports. Because we currently have a chapter over there in UE. We have a chapter at UTech as well. And guys, we need one at NCU too. And I'm entrusting this to Adrian and the rest of the team. And I will be working with you guys in helping you build out a chapter there, because you already have games night. Why not make it competitive? You already be having the games night and the tournaments. Let's make it competitive, guys. Let us do this. It's possible. I see us doing it. See Knox coming to college as well. Guys, you cannot be missing out. NCU is the best. We have to represent. So let's work on getting that done, guys. I will be working with Adrian. Hopefully, he's academic. I'm not sure who the VP of social affairs is, and I'm not sure who the president is currently. But I will be in the Discord. I will be reaching out to ensuring that we can start a chapter there. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I do hope I didn't bore you guys. I do hope you guys feel like, okay, database administration is something you can get into, because trust me, it's fun. You learn a lot. You get to work with a lot of different applications through databases. You get to learn Windows and Linux, and you can transition into several different areas after having it. And I want to mention, even with the cloud, being a solutions architect, what you do is that you also have to administer databases on those platforms as well. And so having, the base knowledge it's very similar. Having the base knowledge, guys, I think it's a career path you can look into. It's really a career path you can look into. Right. I'm reading the chat right now.
Yeah, there seems to be like gamers right now. Yeah.
All right, so help me out here, Adrian, answering some of the questions, because we're now at the Q&A side of the entire program. I'm not sure who will be moderating that portion, but yes, I turn over to you now, Adrian.
I will be moderating this. So guys, you can just if you had posted some questions, you can just retype them right now, and I'll just take them on. So okay, let me scroll up and see if I have any questions.
All right, hold on. So I saw Dexon mention game development.
Oh yes,
I don't know if you guys know, but Trelon Griffiths and David Hewitt, who are alumni of CHIPS as well, of CIS as well. They represented Jamaica in Chile for game development already. Which was amazing. I don't know if you guys knew about it, but they represented us, and they went to several conferences out there. They are game developers, and the game development industry is huge. I don't know if you know about Nicholas Brown. He built Jungle Escape. I think that's what it's called, back in the day on Windows platform as well, and it had over 500,000 downloads. I think it's the best for a Jamaican. to have done in game development so far. It was a really popular game. He came on Sunrise. What's that program called on television? I don't watch TV, you guys, so forgive me. But he did come on that morning program, and he represented. It was a personal project, but he did attribute a lot to being at NCU as well. So you guys do have a lot of alumni who would have done a lot in the area of game development. And I do hope that you guys continue in playing with the different platforms out there. There's Unity, you can go ahead and start playing with it. There's Asbound Powell. I cannot right now, I don't know, I'm lost for words, because he's probably, to me, one of the most talented game developers that I've met. And I don't know if he still plays games. I don't know if you guys know about him, but he's still in Mandeville, I think, and you guys can reach out to him. He's always willing to help people. He's probably one of the best programmers I know as well. So you guys do have resources. Reach out to us, and we definitely would like to help.
There's a question by Deborah Douglas. He was asking, what games do you guys compete in for esports? So
all right, so currently we have competed in the fighting games. For example, I think Street Fighter, Brawlhalla. Gregory and Andrew, you can help me out here. But for the most part, it's the fighting games that we have been competing in. We have had competition, Mortal Kombat and Tekken, definitely. Mortal Kombat and Tekken. Smash Bros, of course. We compete in Fortnite. Currently, we have a Dr. Burrs over in Australia who won best. He has won the Australian competition already. He has come second, I think, for last year. There is League of Legends. We've played with a lot of our Caribbean or Latin American countries. We've had scrims with them. We've played with Barbados. There are a pool of games that we play. We do have persons who play COD. With all the games you can think of, if you join our Discord, there is a community for it. We go even for Hearthstone, if you guys play those games. Mobile, PUBG, definitely. All the Rocket League, of course. We currently have Game Hero, who competed the other day, and I think he did win the competition in Rocket League. So there's a pool of games that we have, and what we're doing is we're trying to encourage people to just join. Join our Discord, reach out to us. There are coaches, within the community that is willing to work with people and help them in becoming better and becoming more competitive.
Okay, great. So this is relating to DBA. Question was asked by Akima British. Yeah, so she's asking, what is your favorite and easiest thing about your work? Maybe.
My favorite thing is scripting it. I enjoy using PowerShell, as I mentioned, and so it's very easy for me to do a migration or spin up databases anywhere that I want, just using code. And that's I would say the best part right now. Also, I would say that learning Linux and working with Linux and Oracle, I'm learning a lot, and that's a lot of fun for me. Sometimes I do get flustered, but I regroup within myself, and I get back out there, and I push on.
Great. So, Akim Shaw, he was asking, speaking about hot update, so you mentioned something about hot update. So do you have like crazy hours?
Yes, I do. So I think my position is, I'm very new to Static Core, but my position is an on-call position, which means that there are times that I'm working up until 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning. It depends. If something happens, because I have, I'm currently implementing a system to help my entire team in monitoring our databases on one platform. So we'll be monitoring, all our different database types on one platform. And so I have alerts set up for it. And if there's an alert that, hey, there's a drive that is running out of space or whatever, I need to ensure that it's up before it becomes a problem. And so if it goes off at 12 in the morning, I have to, jump in and get that up and running and ensuring that there's no problem. So there are crazy hours. There are, as I said, we have some databases that are over terabytes in size, and those take hours. Sometimes over, I think I did a restore once that was 46 hours to restore. It took that long to restore. Of course, I leave it and I come back, but you have to gradually check on it to ensure that the session doesn't become inactive. And so, yeah, there are a lot of crazy hours. But it's
Great.
fun stuff.
Okay, I don't see any more questions right now, so I don't know if you want to move on to. Okay, Dylan is asking what's the salary like in DBA?
If you Google it right now, I will tell you that most DBAs, thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Most DBAs, it depends. If you're quoting in US, they should be getting at a senior level. You should be getting up to I guess least 70-something thousand US. But of course, I don't get that much money because I'm here in Jamaica. I don't get that much money. But a lot of times it depends on your negotiation. And don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And I will say, when you're starting a new job, do not ask for less than $160,000. Do not ask for it. And most of the times I would say don't accept it because people just want to exploit. And I would say, if you know you're good enough in something, you ask for what you believe in.
Is asking before or after tax?
After tax.
Okay.
After tax, I would say after tax. You want to be able to get that much money because if you're moving to Kingston, rent is like $70,000, and you guys, you want to be able to pay for that, pay student loans and all that stuff. And I would say, don't sell yourself short. The money is there to be made. Yes, this is a JI hoodie, and the merch will become available. Unfortunately, COVID did mess a lot of things up for us as it relates to merch, and we do have even the mouse pads as well. We have jerseys, and I would say that we should be up and running as it relates to merch next year, so you guys can look out for that. Hold on, I said, oh yes, the highest paying position there. What's the highest paying position? Where fair weather position where I would say that project managers. No, I obviously the execs. I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. You don't discuss salaries. It's against the rules to discuss salaries. But I will say to you guys, project managers make a lot of money. Analysts make a lot of money. Who else? The more managerial you are, the more money you make. I will say that. So if you're, and then the more assertive that you are as well, the more money you will make. So you have to be assertive. You have to negotiate your with your boss. That hey, you're worth more than that and such. So it's really what you ask for that you get.
Okay, great. So I'm not seeing much questions right now. Michaela is asking what are the details for internship at Sagicor. So I guess she's asking for more details regarding the internship for Sagicor.
Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll be sending some links in the in your Discord, because I'm a part of your Discord, and so I will be getting the information necessary, and then I'll put it in your Discord for you guys. So I would like for you to create a channel that the alumni will have access to, that we can post job opportunities or relating to internships and such for us, so we can help out in that area. And I will tell you as well that working as an entrepreneur helps a lot, and it works. You don't have to work for somebody. If you own your skills, you can get jobs, and sometimes you get paid a lot more. There are persons in Jamaica, I can tell you, who are getting over 6,000 US monthly, and that is something that you can get as well. Don't limit yourself. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is just not know. You have to research. You really just have to research, because a lot of things are out there. Researching, and I will not. I don't think I've stressed it enough. Solutions architecture is one of the booming jobs right now. Not a lot of people, especially in our region, are into it. Yes, there are some people into it, but not a lot. And I would say get into it, play with it. Amazon gives you a year free to play with it. I need your help actually, Adrian, in choosing somebody who will get the
yes.
Udemy course. I really want to give the solutions Udemy course. I might even throw in another one. To throw two.
Okay, so do you want help with that right now or after? Because I would probably get the person probably fit enough for a course like that on Udemy.
I definitely want to give Price a course because oh my goodness, that introduction.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So Price, definitely congratulations. I will be gifting you a Udemy course. As well as somebody else, and I guess we can go through the chat afterwards and find somebody and then announce it who would get the other course. But thank you so much, you guys, for having me. I had fun. You guys are able to do in Chips what I was unable to do, and I appreciate you guys so much in bringing Chips so far. And I love Chips, and I hope that you continue the work and you ensure that the ones coming after you guys, continue, because you have to bring them. And so I wish you guys all the best.
Okay, thanks a lot, Shanique. Well, I'm not the one doing the vote of thanks. I will hand over to our president, Michaela Reed, to do the vote of thanks at this moment. Michaela, the floor is yours.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our department and shifts, I would like to say thank you to Mrs. Shanique McIntyre for all the efforts you put into this presentation. We are grateful for all the information shared on data administration and JEI. I am sure that left us enlightened and informed on database and esports, and even Sagicor. We would also like to thank Mr. West for hosting this wonderful session. Finally, to all the persons present, I would like to say thank you for participating and interacting. Without you, this would not be possible. Mrs. McIntyre, we wish you all the best in your career and hope you continue to be a role model to our department and the family. To show our appreciation, we will be presenting you with a $25 gift card from Amazon. So I hope you put that to good use. Please enjoy, and thank you once again for all the information shared.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for the gift card. I do appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys. I did not expect that. Thank you. And thank you guys for having me. I do hope that you guys continue in reaching out to other alumni. This is a great program, and I'll be looking out for the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
Exactly.
I hope it continues. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thanks again, Shanique. I will find someone being that you gave Clifton the first Udemy course, I would like a female, because woman power right now, right? So I would just like to ask a female, if you're interested in the Udemy course, just say something in the chat right now and it will be yours. So we have 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right.
Hi, Sabrina.
There's Sabrina right there. So I guess Sabrina could get the Udemy course.
Okay, no problem. Sabrina is a Girls in IT Hackathon ambassador. I've met her. She's an amazing girl, and I see her doing a lot in IT in the future. Any
Okay.
team recruitment for soon for esports? Definitely. You guys, I just want you to jump in our Discord. I'm going to drop the link right now. I'm going to drop the link right now in the chat. So you guys can jump in our Discord and follow the instructions in becoming in getting the proper permissions and rights to the area that you guys desire to be in.
Okay, great. Michaela, do we have any announcements we want to make before we end the meeting?
All right, just a couple right now. We have a few events coming up. That would be next week. We have our karaoke event themed 90s. So I'm hoping you all can turn out for that one and bring a song so you can just sing along. 70s, sorry, 70s, sorry. Yes. And following that, we'll have our treasure hunt, which will be hosted on Discord as well. So please, guys, remember to sign up for Discord and join our server. It's pretty cool over there, and we talk every day. So you're welcome to do that. All right.
Okay. So again, Shanique, thank you for being here. And if you guys want to rewatch this presentation, you can. It will be on our YouTube channel. So go over there, guys. Subscribe. You know, tell a friend to subscribe and like and share. So thank you everyone for being here, and please stay tuned.